Okay, so hey, hello, how are you guys? Haley here, and today I'm talking about ReGen Step 12. This has been a long time in the making, y'all. I started in December of 2020, and it is like my commencement date will be March 7th, so it's been quite a while, which I will say, it does not always take that long. I was the very first person to start in my step group, so there you go. Last time I went through ReGen, I was the last person to join my step group, and we went through it in like a year, which I think is the normal time length to go through it. I have a very scripted out video here just to keep me on point, on task. So we're just going to get on into the video. Step 12, regenerate, foundation, verse. Therefore, if anyone is in Christ, he is a new creation. The old has passed away, behold, the new has come. All this is from God, who through Christ reconciled us to himself and gave us the ministry of reconciliation. 2 Corinthians 5:17 through 18. Step 12, regenerate. Because of our new lives in Christ, we carry God's message of reconciliation to others and practice these principles in every aspect of our lives. Alrighty, so this was a three-week step, and I'm kind of glad that it was a 3-week step instead of just 2, because it got into so much more. I'll kind of highlight like what each week was about. Week 1 is about writing your testimony, which I will say in advance, apparently not every ReGen program does a commencement speech. So if you've ever watched one of my videos and I talk about a commencement speech and you're like, yeah, I'm sure I'm not giving a speech, you probably don't have to. Not all regeneration programs do that. That's actually not a common thing to do. They can ask you if you want to, but like it's not like a requirement for like everybody in the group to give a commencement speech. So just know, like if that freaks you out, you probably don't have to do it. You get to talk about like your time in ReGen. And what I like about hearing, like for me, the commencement speeches is that I find other stories relatable, and it makes me feel like a little less alone, and it makes me feel kind of like I belong to go there. Because sometimes like you go, and like for me, the first time going through was for depression, anxiety, and my sexual assault. And I kind of thought, well, like none of those are probably real reasons to go through this program. But when you hear other people's stories, you're like, oh, well, like, no, that's a common problem. Clearly, like, that's an okay thing to go through this for. Like, I mean, ReGen is truly for everybody and every, like, you know, every problem, I guess, you could have necessarily. They actually give you, like, a sheet that's got, like, all of these, like, different struggles that we can have in our lives. And, like, most of those. But it definitely, like, helps identify, like, what's the reason that I came here for. So yeah, just know that like for me, I really like hearing the commencement speeches, especially from participants. It's a little different hearing it from like a participant versus hearing it from a leader. And like we had that group discussion the other night, and I was like, yeah, no, it is. It's a little different hearing it from like just participants versus like the leaders. So that's what I like about it. I know like that probably freaks you out, but I'll go into like what we're doing this time around at the end of this video. Alright, so week 2 is about handling biblical reconciliation. You go through the steps and practical applications, and I learned my role in this, and week 2 prepared me for when I do need to reconcile with others. Kind of like step 2, good, not with the step amends. I didn't really have any amends to make, so I didn't really have anybody to reconcile with, but it at least taught me like what to do and how to handle those situations when they do arise, because they're going to arise, absolutely. What is life without a little bit of chaos and problems, right? Week 3 walks you back through the steps to remind you of how to apply them to your daily life. So I'm going to read my answer on page 109, which is week 3, day 1, question 2. It says, what freedom have you experienced despite ongoing battles? I wrote Psalm 46:10, be still and know that I am God. I've learned to let go of the thoughts and expectations that I and others have placed on me. I've learned to just live in the moment and glorify God regardless of the circumstances. The Lord has proven over and over that He is good. So when I cannot trust myself, I trust in Him. So like for me, like regeneration was about freedom. Because I mean, like we're not supposed to like live, and we talked about that in church today, like we're not supposed to like live these lives of slaves, like bondage to our sin. Like we have freedom in Christ, and that's what this program has truly shown me. It walked me through strengthening my relationship with God, and it was also helpful to highlight the steps and reflect on what you've learned. And kind of I'll go into what we're doing this time around before I like close the video out. So this time around, we, like the church that I go to modeled after the church that I went to the first time around. And they do like the large commencement speeches, which is like a 3 to 5 minute speech your first time around. This time, the week 1 where you wrote out kind of like your testimony, if you will, that's the speech that we're giving. So it's like a 6 to 10 sentence thing versus like a 3 to 5 minute speech. Some of us that do want to like share our testimonies get that opportunity to like share full on testimonies, which I do appreciate that was an option allowed, but it's not as scary for those that like don't want to do full on speaking, because not everybody wants to speak in front of strangers. I get that. Not everybody is as open and vulnerable as I am. Not like saying that in like a judgmental way. It's taken a lot of time and many, many years to get me to this point. Trust me, it's taken a long time. And I know not everybody is there, and it does take a lot of time to get to that point. It's like no judgment on anybody that doesn't want to like do commencement speeches. I get it. It's super scary. But honestly, like people are like not as judgmental as you think in ReGen. Like they're super loving and very welcoming. So like just know that like everybody that walks through the doors of a church that has a regeneration program, I mean through the doors of any church, through the doors of anywhere, like everybody is going through something in their lives, whether they say it or don't say it, they are going through something. So just know that you're not alone in that. So what I really enjoyed going through ReGen this time around, I really leaned into the process and reached out to others. I built relationships with the women in my group as well as with my mentor. The first time around, I heard the saying, what you put in is what you get out. And honestly, that's so true. I put my experience out there to show y'all that I don't have it all together, and really that's the point of ReGen. It shows you that you can't fix all your problems. Instead, it points you towards a God who can. And that was my ReGen Step 12. And I'm going to be posting my first ReGen commencement speech. I won't post if you all want to hear my like 6 to 10 minute like ReGen statement, I can do a video on that. But really I'm going to post the longer ReGen testimony. That's the one that like I plan on posting. That will be later on down the road, depending on like when I get put on the schedule to do so. So it could be like 4 to 6 months from now. I have no clue. But yeah, so I just wanted to like let y'all know, like there are still going to be a couple of ReGen videos coming up. March 7th is actually, since that's my commencement day, that's when I want to post my first ReGen speech, which is about 3 minutes long. And yeah, but for now, that is all. Love y'all. Bye.